After my coffee, I always do the same thing. I head to the monastery of
Sorry, we can start that again if you want.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the fucking pronunciations of all these things that's going to be the thing that trips me out the most. Je ne suis pas Italiano. I should have just done London. Nando's. Hi, I'm Max Hurd and I'm a creative consultant based here in London, and I'm here to talk to you about Naples. Not the cat Naples, but the city Naples. And yes, I did name my cat after my favourite city in Europe. Naples is home to my boyfriend and his family, and it's somewhere that recently I've been able to spend a lot more time in. Naples for me is unlike anywhere else in Europe, especially Italy, because they haven't quite museum-ified the city in the same way that places like Venice or Florence or Milan or Rome have. It's still very much a living, breathing city full of rich history and a culture that dates back to something like 9 BC. It's something that you can experience and feel part of the kind of fabric of the city. That's the reason why I enjoy being there so much, and why I hope you will too if you get to visit. For me, when I'm in Naples, every morning is the same. I wake up and I walk down to Cafe Gamblinos. It is the most famous cafe in Naples, but it's famous for a reason, and it has a kind of old school glamour and charm that just appeals to me so much. They have massive Murano chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. I mean, what's not to love? And I always stand at the bar because that's what the locals do. Don't sit down. And I have my €1.60 espresso and the lovely cup of water that comes with it, a glass of orange juice, and then I'm on my way. I always head to the monastery of Santa Chiaia, which is right next to the Centro Storico, and in there they have a cloister made up entirely of majolica and orange groves. It's absolutely stunning and incredibly calming. Well, obviously, as part of my job, everywhere I go classifies as working, because I'm always on the lookout for little bits, knickknacks that I can bring home and hopefully flog on. My favourite place to do that in Naples is in Chiaia. There's a whole street of incredible antique shops. My favourite is called Antichità Scipia, which looks absolute garbage from the outside, but the inside is a real Aladdin's treasure trove, and you can get some incredible deals. The guy is absolutely hilarious, and you can spend hours in there. The shopping in Naples is fantastic. I think a lot of people go for the fashion. The suiting, the tailoring, the shirts are all incredible, and the prices would make all the tailors on Savile Row keel over in horror. Personally, I obviously tend to focus more on the interior design side of things, so I antique shop until I drop. I'm always limited by the size of my suitcase, which is my number one mistake. I need to learn a lesson. When I brought this piece in front of me, it came as part of a set, and I just did not have room to take all of them, which was devastating, and I had to pick my favourite. The plates featured all the Greek gods, and so I came home with, I believe, Apollo. He now hangs pride of place in my kitchen, and every morning I have my coffee and I gaze into his eyes and his pecs, and it sets me up for a really good day. One of the great things about Naples is its multi-layered story, dating all the way back to Pompeii, which you can go visit, and I really, really recommend that you do. And if you do, I recommend you splash a little bit of extra cash and get a guide, because it's so magical experiencing that place with someone who really knows what they're talking about. At the slightly more modern end of the scale, well, I say modern, it was last lived in the 1950s, so not exactly modern, but more modern than Pompeii. At that end of the scale is the Villa Pignatelli, which is also in Chiaia. It was originally owned by the Rothschild family, who then sold it to the last Dukes of the Amalfi, or a scion of that family. They lived there till the 1950s, when they bequeathed it to the government on the proviso that nothing from the villa was taken out and everything was left exactly the same. So if, like me, you tend to enjoy swanning around beautiful houses and pretending they're yours, this is a great place to do that, especially as it's not very well known and not that many people tend to visit it. And so every time I go, it's mostly empty. The light is wonderful and it reflects off the silk wall hangings in a way that is kind of like mind-blowing if you're into interior design, which obviously I am. The collection of fabrics and wallpapers are inspirational, and it's just laid out in the most beautiful, beautiful way. And the gardens go all the way down to the road. You can see the sea from the villa, and it's truly, truly magical. I'm incredibly spoilt when I go to Naples. The best food is the food prepared by Edo's mum. So we tend to eat in quite a lot, especially during the day, because why wouldn't we? The produce in Naples is just so fantastic that, you know, anything that you buy from the supermarket tastes 10 times better than anything you can get in the best restaurant in London. But if we do venture out, if we fancy pizza, the best place, the most famous place, which is often called the Death by Gluten restaurant, is the Concettina ai Tre Santi, which is the best pizza in Naples and probably the most famous. Or if you fancy something a little further afield, it's not technically Naples, it's technically Sorrento, but it's possibly the greatest lunch spot in the world. It's called Da Adolfo, and it's on its own little private beach. It's completely rustic and completely charming, and they come and collect you from Positano in a little boat and take you across, and I guarantee it will be the best day of your summer if you end up bagging yourself a table, but definitely reserve because they do not accept walk-ins, or float-ins as the case may be. Much to the horror of my Italian family, I'm not really that much of a sweet person. I do know, however, that the Cafe Gambrino's, which is also, by the way, where Oscar Wilde used to get his pastries, so if it's good enough for Oscar, it's good enough for us. They have the most incredible array of baked goods and pastries and patisseries, and they are incredible, and people come and kind of gawk at them through the glass window because they're so beautiful. There's one called a Vesuvio, which I've bought in the past for people, which is shaped like the volcano, full of cream and strawberry syrup which explodes out the top and goes down the side, so it really does look like a volcano and it's quite remarkable. Naples is really famous for its gelato, and they have so many shops all throughout the city which you can enjoy, and all of the ones I've tried have been fantastic. The most famous is Ciro, which I definitely recommend, and it's fun for all the family, including the dog, who really enjoys vanilla for whatever random reason. I tend to focus on the sorbets as I'm not really a dairy person, and they have a pistachio which is truly mouth-watering. Whenever I'm in Naples, I do make sure that I get a good amount of church exposure because they really are the kind of jewels in the crown. Well, any Neapolitan will tell you that there are more churches in Naples than there are in Rome. Don't quote me on that because, like everything the Neapolitans do, it needs to be taken with a massive pinch of salt. My absolute favourite is slightly off the beaten track actually, and it's definitely one of the lesser visited ones. Every time I go, I'm the only person there, and it's called San Giovanni di Carbonara. The only other visitor last time I went was a cat who followed me through the entire cloister. It's definitely more naive than some of the larger, more ostentatious churches. You have to book in advance if you'd like to go. They don't open it up fully to the public at all hours of the day, so make sure that you have checked that out, but it's well worth it and you will be blown away. Naples is a city of districts, and the oldest one is Centro Storico, which is where the old and the new and the Neapolitans and the tourists really collide. The Neapolitans have a kind of insouciant attitude to tourism that I find really charming because they have a sort of like Naples or don't like Naples, we don't care attitude, which is very refreshing in a world where tourists tend to be grabbed on like life rafts. The Neapolitans aren't really like that, they just don't really care. And you can sit for hours outside the bars in Centro Storico and just watch them interact with tourists in the most hilarious, languid way. It's the most bustly part of the city, I would say, and you get a whole host of different characters, and it's a great place to spend the afternoon. If you're in Italy, especially in southern Italy, it's very important to get the aperitivo right. You want to be able to, in my opinion, watch the sunset as close to the water as you possibly can. And the best place to do that is really on the port. There's a little restaurant and bar called Officina, which is directly opposite the Castello del Lovo. So you get the incredible silhouette of the castle and the sun sets to the right of it over the Bay of Naples. It's phenomenal. If you want a slightly higher vantage point, which I recommend doing, there's something called Mount Chiaia, which is directly opposite Officina. Now, there's a lift that takes you from the ground up. True to Neapolitan form, it took them 10 years to build. It was absolutely worth the wait. On top of Mount Chiaia, there's a little bar which you can sit and have a spritz and see the whole of Naples and watch as the sun goes down, and it's magical. After a long day of culture vulturing, it's important to make sure you get your dinner right. You want to stumble from Aperitivo to the best restaurant you can possibly get your hands on. Everyone has different criteria about what they want for dinner. I personally love being by the sea. The restaurants on the port in Chiaia for me are my absolute favourite. There's one called Bersaglia, slightly more elevated than the others. The waiters are immaculately dressed and the food is, as you would imagine, full of fresh fish. You can sit outside and you can bathe in the moonlight, and it's just a very relaxing way to end the day. Naples is a city of atmosphere, really. Everywhere you go, you're surrounded by that incredible Neapolitan southern charm. I always refer to Naples as full of glorious chaos because that's really what it is, and everywhere you go, the energy is just like palpable. I think if you were to distill that into one restaurant, you could do a lot worse than Matozzi L'Europeo, which is, again, pronounced, I hope, okay, sorry. It's full of that kind of southern charm. The decoration is fantastic, the food is sublime, and the wait staff are prone to bursting into song at any given moment, which makes for a really interesting evening. I had dinner there for 20 people once, and it was probably one of the greatest evenings of my summer last summer. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? It's what all the mums say to the kids. Like, che fai?